Hello and welcome to the final weekend of the Victoria Northeast Cyclocross Series presented by Cliff Bar and Cyclosmart. I'm Adam Myerson. I'm here with Justin Lindine. We are at the NBX Grand Prix. I believe it's the 14th edition, though we've raced here at Goddard State Park many times. It's one of the best venues we have in cyclocross, one of everybody's favorite races in New England. This year with the series finale, we've got a C1 on Saturday, which means not only do we have the race for the series title, we have a lot of people chasing points and testing out their form just before nationals. This is a beach race. It's a very fast course. I personally have only won 2 UCI races in my career. One of them is here. I believe Justin has one here in the past as well. So it's a lot of running. There's a lot of ruts. It's a lot of sand riding. There are a lot of roots. There's soft dirt that really gets rutted, and it's just fun no matter what the weather is. I've done this in warm weather. I've done this in the snow. We're gonna have rain on Sunday. We'll see what kind of factor that adds. But we're gonna take you for a lap now. I'm gonna ride with Justin. We're gonna check out some lines. There are some changes that I think are gonna be fun and interesting. So we'll take a look, see what we got out there. So we're in the start grid here. This section we're only using for the start, and it's the same start section both days, but we enter the course in slightly different ways each day. Both days we go through the finish line very early on, whereas in previous years we joined the course about halfway through the lap, so that's a change for this year. So we're going to show you that start loop. We'll go through the start line, the finish line, and that is the official start of the loop, and then we'll do a full loop through to the finish. So let's go. So it's a long, wide, grassy section for about 100 meters until the first turn, which is a giant sweeper, lots of room for everybody. But there is a drop off and it can be tricky. People do crash here. They get a little too excited and they get a little too airborne in this first drop off right here. It's a cambered turn, so you actually can take it with a lot of speed. Hey, this way. And then this is where you join in. Day one, we just go straight here. This is still part of the start loop on day one and not part of the course. But right away you can see how rooty the road is, how rooty the trail is. It's hard packed. It doesn't ever really get muddy. It does get slippery. Right-hand turn. Still on the start loop. And now we've joined the course. So in the finish, these are the last few turns. They're laid out a little differently than they have been in past years, mostly to try to minimize the roots and make it a safe, smooth set of corners to the last turn. And this will be the last corner during the race, but takes us into the course. On day one, we make a little dog leg to the left, right after the finish line. Very fast, you have a lot of speed. Some uneven terrain there. A little mulch turn that leads directly to the stone stairs. Short flight of steps, still uphill on the grass. Into one of the first drop-offs on the course. There are a number of them. They're slippery, sandy, right back up the same ridge. As you can see, if you get stuck in traffic, you might not get a clean shot at it. The turns are tricky because they're fast and because the ground is fast, but because it's sandy, it sometimes breaks away. File treads are almost always the right tire for this course. Barriers, only one set up right now, but there'll be two. If it does rain, like it's supposed to for Sunday, it still won't get muddy. It'll get slippery, but we're on the beach, it drains. There's never deep mud here. I could see it having you switch to a mixed tread from a file tread, but I can't imagine riding a mud tire here. Picking lines through the rooty sections is important. You kind of got to memorize where everything is. There are a lot of different ways to ride all these corners. You definitely can go through them two abreast. So here we've joined the course again, where the start went right. Now we continue on straight. This part of the course takes you to the pit area. There's a new little corner on the entrance here. The sand is loose and there's already ruts, just from people pre-riding. And here's the pit. See how wide the course is? How many different ways you can set up. A tricky S-turn here, a little dip, bankment. This leads you into the tricky S-turns on the sand, where it's just so easy to turn too hard or not hard enough and lose your front wheel. A lot of times it's group racing here, and the separations happen because someone crashes out of the group, not necessarily because someone attacks. Here we lead down to the run. We're gonna drop into the beach. Where you dismount depends on how good you are at cyclocross. It's a long beach run. There are some changes from previous years where now, instead of the long beach section, we turn right up the stairs to the beach house and then ride under the gazebo. It'll be great for spectators. It's gonna be fun to ride. It's a little bit narrow, but it's a cool change that I think everybody will like. It doesn't necessarily make the run shorter, but it does change the run up, where you have to pause to make this turn and run upstairs instead of just running a flat run. Few steps on concrete here. Remount is on concrete. We're under the gazebo. On this part of the course, we drop into the pavement along the parking lot, along the beach. This part of the course will get split. This fence will get pulled out and it'll be two-way traffic. So fast pavement section after the run. It's always really hard there because you're gapped from the run, and strong riders will accelerate on the pavement after that run. And if the run takes something out of you, it's hard to hold wheels in a group style race unless you're able to make a big effort after you remount after the run. This takes you to the far end of the course. A little off camber uphill. It's always tricky. Always some overlapping traffic here. Place people make mistakes. And a fast drop in with a berm. sandy beach uphill, some roots. So back along the pavement where the two-way traffic is, a little loop around the rotary here. We call roundabouts rotaries in New England. Steep mulch hill that you should have enough speed to roll up, but if you get stuck in traffic, someone makes a mistake, you could end up off the bike. I think the real problem in those turns is going to be having too much speed and blowing the corners in the sand afterwards. Last passage, second passage to the pit. And that left-hand corner we just made past the pit entrance, in my opinion, is actually the start of the sprint. So the sprint here is absolutely for the last section of turns, and it is possible to pass someone back in these turns, or maybe even one person after the last corner. But really, the race is down this stretch for this last left-hand turn that takes you into the trees. This will be opened up. But again, this is a group race. You're very unlikely that you'll be alone here. You'll probably be sprinting against somebody. You're at your limit. You're trying not to slide out in these turns. You're trying not to bounce off these roots. And you're trying to either not get dive bombed by somebody, or maybe to dive bomb somebody if you have to. That's the last corner. Slightly downhill. Pavement to the finish line, and that's your loop. Thank you, Justin. Hyperthreads Apex, a longtime supporter of the race and of Justin. Thanks for doing the pre-ride with us.
No problem, appreciate it.
So that's the loop. It's essentially the same flavor we've always had here at NBX, but with a couple small changes, improvements, tweaks, etc. I think one of the things that's going to be most interesting is we're going to have dry conditions for the C1 on Saturday. We're going to have rain all day for the C2 on Sunday. And seeing how that changes the course, how much more slippery the turns get, it'll be interesting to see, you know, doing the lines differently, how that goes. There's always a lot of running. There's always a lot of sliding around the sand. But again, I think classic course, one of everyone's favorite races. Here we are behind the most New England tree in New England, old part of the course we don't use anymore that it was good to come back and take a look at. But this is New England Cyclocross. So thanks for tuning in all season to these course previews and all of our dirt wire coverage of the Victoria Northeast Cyclocross Series presented by Cliff Bar and CycleSmart. It's been a great season. We've had great coverage. Really appreciate you tuning in for the course previews and everything else. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next season.